Flipsters. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Lincoln, and we are happily married.
But not to each other.
Yeah, we're old friends from college, and we're flipping houses in the Austin, Texas area.
And we're taking you along for the ride. Welcome to Austin Flipsters, the podcast.
We're back. And
Episode 4. Did you ever think we would make it to episode 4?
no, some said we'd get canceled at episode 2, but we're here, baby. We're back.
We're still here.
How are you feeling about our podcast efforts so far? Are you loving them?
It's been really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot of, it's low effort. We just get to talk.
I don't think
Sit
our
here?
production team would say it's low effort.
Oh, it's low effort for us. We have a whole team back here making it look easy.
Yeah, that was one of our Instagram questions we'll get to later in the episode. But people want to know, is there a lot of work that happens behind the scenes? And I'm looking at 4 cameras right now, plus this incredible light.
We have an amazingly huge light just bathing us
I
in this
know.
nice diffused light.
I'm going to take this diffused light with me every day, everywhere.
Yeah. Today, we are talking all about that sort of thing, namely our YouTube channel, because we get a ton of questions about the channel itself.
Yep.
Right? We get a lot of comments about the houses that we do, but people want to know about YouTube channels. So we're gonna talk about it.
Yeah, totally. We'll talk about how we got started, kind of ups and downs. It's not been, just trajectory to the right this whole adventure. But we'll get into it. We'll get into the things that we thought we were getting into with this channel and the things that actually came to be, things that we would do again, things we wouldn't do again, and kind of our best advice for people who want to do their own channel.
Yeah. If you're looking to start a YouTube channel, we'll tell you what not to do.
Listen to this first. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how the channel came to be originally, right? We started in 2018. We get that question a lot.
Yeah.
So we're going on almost 5 years now. And I think too, it's hard in 2023 to think back to 2018. YouTube was definitely a thing, but it was not what it is today.
Yes. It was a different world pre-pandemic. And it's weird. YouTube has, if you watch a lot of YouTube, it's had these very distinct eras of it where it was like sort of just like rogue random people on there. And then in 2017, 18 is really when I started, I started consuming YouTube, and I was just blown away by the ecosystem that was on there, because I think prior to that point, you hadn't watched a lot of YouTube either.
No, I thought YouTube was cat memes.
Right.
I mean, yeah.
Right. It was like funny videos.
Yeah, viral videos and trick shots. The Dude Perfect guys were both Aggies, so I mean, we knew about them. They were a thing.
Yeah. So I discovered YouTube and started watching it. I still watch it to this day, but the very first video, I don't even know why I did, but I just opened the app because I was on my iPad sitting out on the back porch. My wife was watching a show on TV, and I was like, I don't want to watch Netflix. I don't know. And I just opened YouTube, and it recommends videos to you, obviously. And the very first one was, at the time, he was like the biggest YouTuber on the platform, dude named PewDiePie, which you probably know. I don't know if you know who PewDiePie is.
I'm still to this day not a huge YouTuber.
Yeah, I don't know, right? Well, he was like the most famous guy on YouTube at the time. And I watched this video, and it was like unintelligible to me. Like what he's doing, he's reacting to stuff. He has this, clearly this whole this ecosystem of all his inside jokes that he's doing with people. And then I was like, who is this person? Why is he making this video? I went down this rabbit hole. I'm like, oh my God, he has 1 million videos on here. What does he do all day? How does he have time?
Is a job?
How does he have time to do this?
Right.
And then you realize he's like, oh, he has some sponsorships. I'm like, who's paying to run an ad on this guy's channel, right? And then what I think the craziest for me was I think about that era, there were young YouTubers that were getting famous in real time on the platform.
Well, I remember you specifically mentioning Ryan, the toy kid, right?
Yes.
He was getting paid buku for opening toys on the internet, brilliant.
That was where it clicked for me. I read an article about the Ryan toy review, and he was the highest paid YouTuber that year, this 8-year-old kid or whatever he was. And that was where it clicked for me. I was like, oh, this kid is slinging product on here. This is marketing for him. He's selling toys on here. And then you looked at other, I think a lot of creators on there that were they would just produce some sort of merch line, like a glorified merch line, and call it sort of a brand. So you had back at the day, it was Logan Paul was blowing up on there, and you could watch him get famous in real time. And then he would do merch, right? Now he does he has like a Gatorade competitor Prime. It's like a hydration drink or whatever. But at the time he was slinging merch. Your kids are drinking?
Yeah, they love Prime.
It's wild. Now, obviously, Mr. Beast has the confectionery, the candy, Feastables or whatever. But like that was the light bulb for me. I was like, oh my gosh, people are like these people are making money on this thing because they're tying it to a product. And I think.
Yeah, and about this time we had begun to partner together. We told that story in the previous episode. But about how we had just kind of started working on the flips themselves. And so you kind of pitched this idea. I think the fact that I did not watch YouTube, like I don't think if I had watched YouTube the way that you were watching it, I might not have said yes to this experience. like, because I just didn't, I think like ignorance is bliss sometimes. Right. And so, I thought,
why did you say yes to doing this?
I have no idea. Like I have no idea.
What did you think it was going to be? Like, I pitched you. I was like, we should do this channel.
I really was into blogs at the time. Like, I think blogs were a big deal. And so I could see, I understood how people, like, I'm not dumb. I knew how people were marketing to me through those blogs and how they were able to, like, connect and have certain audiences, especially in the design world. That was huge at the time. So I could totally see, and Chip and Joanna were, like, huge. And I was thinking, yeah, duh, there's people will follow this and be interested in this space, in part too because it was already, we didn't invent the wheel of home makeover shows. Those were already quite popular on HGTV and mainstream TV.
Well, that was the big light bulb for me, right? Is I don't really watch home makeover shows like on HGTV or whatever, but I was reading an article talking about HGTV, the network, was like the second or third most popular cable network in the world behind like ESPN or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was blown away by that. And it was about that same time I was realizing like, oh, YouTube is just the new TV. Like younger people are coming on here and they just watch it in the same way they would just watch a show. It's not like scrolling through Instagram or whatever. It's more like long form. And then I started to see, I was like, oh, people are taking traditional show formats and just porting that to YouTube. And I ran a search on, I was like, well, I wonder who's doing HGTV on YouTube.
Right.
And
nobody.
No one was doing it. I was blown away by it.
I think that was probably what got me to say yes. Because once I realized that, I thought, yeah, you always hear about like titans and industries. And it was always, they were like, it was the wild, wild west. And if you can get there first, then, you are, the Vanderbilts and whoever else. So
not that we're titans by any stretch. We're still
say, that hasn't panned out quite.
No, but what I will say is like, I don't know, I like my 8-year-old was asking me how to make money the other day. And I was like, well, you could be really good at one thing. Like you could be very good, the best in the world at something, or you could be pretty good at two things. You know what I mean? And the overlap of that means there's like very few people. So I was like, well, we're probably not the best TV personalities.
We're not the best designers.
We're not the best house flippers, to be honest. I'm sure there's like plenty of more talented people out there doing it. But I was like, but weirdly, there's nobody, this Venn diagram of someone doing house flips on YouTube has not been filled in.
Right.
It was like a hole in the universe.
Yeah. And it still really hasn't.
There's still not a time. I mean, I think people have popped up on there, but like, yeah, I'm still blown away. And
what I'm
for
blown
good
away
reason.
about, and like, maybe I shouldn't speak this into the universe. I don't know why HGTV isn't coming on here trying to blow up on YouTube. I mean, I guess YouTube is their competitor, but like if I were them, I would take a channel and own that. And then inevitably when the tide turns, I mean, my kids want to do nothing but watch YouTube. They don't care about network TV at all. And
so that's one of the craziest things. After we started the channel and we got a little bit of traction, which we can talk about how we even got to that point, but very quickly, I would say even before 100,000 subscribers, we got reached out to by a lot of production companies for traditional.
Left and right. But they all wanted a shtick too. They were like, but do you flip haunted houses? Do you flip, houses that have been damaged in a flood? Like it was like you had to have some real extreme. And we're like, no, we're out here flipping houses.
Our pitch to them was like, we're flipping houses on social media.
And letting the audience decide. Yeah, we would vote in our polls on Instagram. We let the audience pick paint colors. We were like engaged with the very people that they're trying to reach and their advertisers are trying to reach on the daily. And for some reason that was not interesting to them. It was
crazy.
That's okay.
It was crazy. And the other thing too on that was like, I had no idea. Like we didn't start the YouTube channel trying to get a TV show, but obviously we were going to like talk to producers if they wanted to talk to us about that, right?
Totally.
And I was blown away by how hard it is to get a successful cable show and how little money is in it if you're not Chip and Joanna Gaines, basically.
Well, basically, until you're to like season 3 or 4,
yeah,
you're not getting paid nothing.
Yeah, so the economics were like,
we were making more on our YouTube channel, and our YouTube channel was not making a lot of money.
Right, exactly. They pay basically nothing to the talent for these shows in the first 1 to 2 seasons. But their
production budgets were hundreds of thousands of dollars, and we were getting pretty damn close.
Well, they were, yeah. I mean, the economics on that is like for a 30-minute show, they would spend like $500,000 producing that show. And of that talent, like the people doing it would get between $2,000 and $10,000 an episode. Yeah. Which is insane. Right. If you're thinking like that's your job, you know, to make whatever 10 episodes in a season, and you might get $20,000 out of that. Like, right. Crazy.
Compared to what they're spending to make the production. Yeah. Okay, so let's get back to forget HGTV.
Yeah.
They're the dinosaurs anyway. Forget that. But when we originally started the channel, I think our thought process was to get a certain sizable audience to where we could get free product for the houses.
That was my pitch to you. I said we can do the houses cheaper if we're getting free product, and people will just give it to us, and then that way we can do more projects. They'll be profitable if we can make the content for minimal cost. Right. Like that was the pitch.
And that didn't work out.
That didn't happen.
Well. Or really the way that we envisioned it. But let's talk about like, how did we even get to that first 1,000 subscribers? And then why is the first 1,000, like, what was that metric? Why were we trying to hit that?
Yeah. So what's crazy about YouTube is like, there are like millions of accounts created basically every day.
I didn't appreciate that when we were first starting, that if you have a YouTube account, YouTube to watch shows, you basically have a channel. Right. And so it counts as a channel in the grand count of channels. And so many people are just consumers. Right. Or they're storing video footage or whatever. Right. They're not actual accounts.
Yeah. You don't say to YouTube like, oh, I intend to be a content creator. Like you just create the account.
Everybody would check that. Probably.
Yeah. And then you probably wouldn't even know. But I mean, I do this on like a personal account, which is like, I just use it to store home videos or video footage that I just want to keep and have hosted for free. And I think that's basically 99.99% of YouTube accounts are consumers of content, not creators of it.
And so that's the problem, is when you want to start as a creator, Google doesn't know who's who, right? There's no way to distinguish, and there's no way, part of the success of being on a successful YouTube channel is that YouTube will promote you to people they think is interested. And the more people who watch, the longer they watch, the more that they can trust that your content is good.
Right. And when you're just starting out, let's say you put out content that you mean to be consumed by, the world, obviously. Well, YouTube has limited real estate on the home screen of its users, right? So maybe they're going to serve up 6 videos for you to potentially watch. And
Mr. Beast is going to be one of those.
Mr. Beast is going to take up
a spot.
He's taking up a spot. And that's because they know that he's a sure thing. Like you click on his video, you're going to watch through it. You're going to get ad revenue. You're going to get engagement, versus they're going to take a risk on you, random new content that they've never served up to anyone. Who knows? Obviously, they're doing some of that because otherwise no channel would ever grow. But your odds of getting served up that are minute, right? Right. So you either have to I think the two strategies are like put out just consistent content all the time. And I think that's a lot of advice you hear is just like upload once a week. And that is kind of a signal to Google that's like, oh, these aren't just random videos being stored on me. Maybe I should test them and see if anybody likes them.
And the problem for us was that because of the nature of what we do, that just wasn't possible for the format we envisioned, right? You can't flip a house and film it and put it out every single week. Like that, we're just not at that scale, even today, to do that.
So, I mean, I think there's a lot of hacks to just get started. And really all you're trying to do is like, let Google know, hey, I'm creating content for people to consume. Please put it out into the world. And I think you can do that by getting initial subscribers, or you can do that by getting views on your videos, both of which we tried, and I think with a little bit of success to do, right?
Yeah. So one thing we did pretty early on is we actually bought ads. We bought our way into this game, and we did something unique in that for the ad we just ran the show.
Right.
So our thesis was that anybody who sees this ad and is interested is then going to subscribe, right? And the people who are, it's like a self-selecting model. The people who are not interested are just whatever. They're not going to pay attention. It's an ad. So
yeah. And I don't know that YouTube still does this as much, but instead of running an ad like in the middle of a show, right? Which at the time we read some people that was like, just advertise on a similar type show. And that doesn't really work because let's say you clicked an Austin Flipsters video. You want to watch that video. If you got served up an ad for some competing house flipping show in the middle of that, you're not going to abandon the thing you wanted to watch and go click on that. But what we did, to your point, is we ran the actual video as an ad. So if you saw that thumbnail, it was an ad, but it would look like it was just another video for you to watch. And so that got us promoted in front of people to the point of like just getting out there to see if people liked it. And then the people that clicked that, to your point, if they liked it, they stuck around, they subscribed, and they're like, oh, this is just good content for us.
Yeah, totally. And the reason to get to 1,000 too is that's when you can monetize. So that's like the hump of, okay, you're actually a business now. Less hobby, more business.
And even though you can monetize, you don't monetize much. It's not like it's paying for anything, but it is a milestone, right?
It's a milestone. Speaking of which, we also did a giveaway.
Yeah.
I was watching this the other day in preparation for this episode. Was one of our very first episodes. We did a Google Home Mini. Somebody had sent it to you randomly, like you got it for free somehow.
Oh.
It was like a freebie with like a Home Depot order or something.
Yeah, we just had an extra Google Home Mini.
So yeah. That we gave away, and we were advertising it to get our first 250 subscribers.
That is wild.
Wild.
Yeah, we gave away. So that was like, what do those things cost? $100?
50? I don't know.
No, $50. Maybe that wasn't bad.
But
it worked. So we quickly got 250 subscribers. Somebody won it.
Yeah.
But that was our initial
$49.99 at Best Buy.
Well, thanks for the fact check.
Oh, $39.95 on Amazon. How are they always so much cheaper on everything?
They know, and they get it there fast. Jeff cuts the prices over at Amazon. He keeps it cheap. He keeps it tight.
Okay. And so, I guess if you've got a Google Home Mini already, maybe give that a try. I don't remember it being like
our shtick for that was we're giving away a home, is what we said. We said we're giving away a home, a Google Home Mini. It was a bit of a clickbait, but it worked.
Okay, so let's talk about this other thing that we did, which was a kind of a hack, which was interesting. This was your Mexico resort video. Do you remember this?
Okay, so this was a bit of a stretch. Yeah, we made a random video.
You were already going on a trip. This is when we had just sort of first started the channel, and you were like wanting to see if we could get in organically in people's search engines.
Totally.
Right.
So one of the ways to just like let Google know, again, like this is content for people to consume, was to hack something that people were searching for. So if you couldn't get served up on the homepage as a recommended video, if I was searching within YouTube for whatever random topic, if you could appear at the top of that list, then you'd get a bunch of views and Google would go, oh, like, this is content to be consumed by people. And so, yeah, I was going on an anniversary trip to this all-inclusive place in Mexico.
So all you got to do is go to a resort in Mexico.
I mean, I don't know that I would do this again. And it got views, this video, but it was like so out of the mainstream of what our channel was about.
We checked it. It has 79,000 views. We looked yesterday.
And the drone work was amazing, by the way.
The drone work.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
It was really good.
The drone work was all me. I did this drone work and I kind of had to sneak it because I asked the resort, I was like, hey, is it cool if I fly a drone around here? And they're like, no, don't. That's not allowed here. But I looked it up and like in Mexico, it's like you can fly in public areas and the beach is like technically a public area. So I went out and I flew the drone and maybe it got a little close to the resort. But honestly, they should be thrilled because
79,000 views.
It got 79,000 views. It was I gave them a good review.
Yeah. And I thought that you got stock footage because it was that good.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you, Massiel.
Maybe we need to put you behind the camera.
Maybe so. Yeah. That was one of our initial investments. We bought a drone because we wanted high quality shots for the show. So I took this thing down to Mexico and I got great footage of the resort. And if I do say so ourselves, I went back and watched this video. If you compare it to the other review videos of this resort, and this was not like a huge resort or a major like This is just a random resort in Mexico.
Yeah, shout out Excellence Playa Mujeres. Or
Shout
was
out.
it the Riviera Cancun?
It was a comparison video between the two.
Well, then you got to be, yeah.
Yeah, because I had been to both. So I was like, I'm going to double up on the Google searches. So if you're
Right.
searching for either of these resorts, this will pop up, right?
Okay.
And that review video, the production quality is like light years above everybody else's review video. The rest is like them on their phone and
Which was our same thesis for the channel, right? Is
Totally.
that there were people in the home improvement space, house flipping space on YouTube. They were all just doing it on their phone,
Right.
very low quality. And our thesis was if you invest in high quality, high production, high entertainment value, you can get a lot of eyeballs
Yeah.
on this thing faster than you could if you just sort of organically grow this audience from like low budget, which apparently you're really great at videography skills. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's where most people starting a channel start out is
Yeah.
this low investment, low effort, snowball, and then 9 times out of 10, it doesn't work
Right.
and they stop, you
Right.
know, before they hit that critical.
Yeah. And to be honest, I think depending on like what your content was about, I would probably recommend that to 9 out of 10 people. If you were making like content that didn't have sort of the long lead times that a house flip does and didn't need this sort of full payoff, I would probably suggest that. Like if you're going to do resort review videos, like, yeah, you should make them.
Like maybe you should.
Maybe that
It's
was
the backup
my
plan for you.
calling. It was a great review video.
Go check it out.
You gotta admit, it was a bit weird because we also plugged the flipping content on there. So I don't
Yeah.
know how much crossover views we
Yeah,
actually
maybe
got.
Massiel, we can plug in that little clip where he's like, "We're the awesome flipsters. We flip houses, but today I'm going to Mexico and I'm going to talk about this."
Yeah, it was disjointed, but that was
But
our.
we didn't have anybody watching it at that time, so it didn't matter. Like,
And we invested the time and money to create the content about the house flips, but they take months and months and months to produce. And we were like,
Right.
let's try and get some initial traction out there. What can we make videos about? So it was part of that, right?
yeah, and also part of that was our very, very first episode. We also self-filmed. This was before we made the decision to go all in and invest in a full-time videographer editor. It's pretty damn good video. I watched it again. It's a little cringy.
Yeah, I watched it again in preparation for this. I cringed quite a bit.
Right.
What?
But the fake acting was like hard to take. But the filming, like that was sort of the original vision, was more of this like MTV behind the scenes,
Yeah.
true life, I'm a house flipper kind of thing.
Yeah, and at that time, I don't think we had fully committed to the concept of like one episode, one full before and after. It was like maybe this can be more vlog style, day in the life.
Because that's what was out there, right? The blogs were all, I'm going to renovate a house and I'm going to spend 8 weeks on the kitchen. And every day I'm going to give you, here's the sink, here's the faucet, here's the whatever. Like
Right.
very minutia, nitty gritty, milk it, because they're only flipping one house.
Right.
And we had the luxury that we were doing multiple flips. So we could really like bet the farm, so to speak, on, we bet people want to see the full thing at one go.
Yeah. And
But we didn't get there right away.
we didn't get there right away. We did this very first video that was this like cringy vlog style thing that didn't have a full before and after. It was this house that we didn't even flip. We just did a wholesale deal because wholesale. Yeah, that's
What is a wholesale deal?
wholesale deal is basically where you buy a house and you get it at such a cheap price that you can immediately turn around and sell it on the market for a marked up price and make money on that.
Yeah,
right?
because, well, so to back up, we had a wholesale company, we still do, which is where we are all day, every day marketing to find projects that are investment grade and we're like good candidates for flips.
And in those projects, you contract to buy the house at a certain price, you mark that up slightly, and you flip basically that contract to another investor. They go take it and actually flip it. You make a small markup. That's a wholesale deal versus a wholesale is where you actually close on the property with your own money, turn around and sell it. And that's what this video was about, is us just buying a house and selling it 2 weeks later, which is not entertaining to watch at all.
Right.
But we made a video about it because
We didn't have anything else.
we didn't have
going.
anything else, and all our actual flips were going to be months out. So we're like, well, let's make a video about something. And so filmed it ourselves. It was, yeah, I think it was pretty cringe,
Yeah.
to be honest. But there was some
It told
fun
a story.
moments.
There was it was a story was weaved through there.
Yeah.
Whatever. Massiel liked it.
Did you watch it, Massiel?
Yeah, I liked it. My only comment was the audio was not it for me. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
it
yeah,
was-
we majorly upgraded our audio.
That was,
Yeah, the audio sounds great. I think the storytelling was fun. I think the your personality came out a lot too. So that was really fun. Like you guys sitting in a restaurant too, and Lincoln trying to convince Lauren.
That was fake.
Well, sort of. You tried to have a few real moments. Like you tried to sneak up on me when I was getting out of the car.
Yeah.
That was a little weird. We filmed the scene in the restaurant with a 360 camera so that it was like, it was a little less conspicuous that we were like filming a thing. So we could just like set the GoPro there. There was a GoPro 360 and turn it on.
It was very amateur.
It was very amateur. And to your point,
I see why we had to buy our first 1,000 subs.
We didn't buy them. We didn't buy them. We bought an audition.
True.
And then they subscribed by their own volition.
Yeah.
But I would say too, to your point, Massiel, that was one of my biggest surprises when we started was that audio is so hard to get.
Yeah.
Like I thought you just on your phone, whatever. And to your point, it was garbage audio because we weren't using external mics. We hadn't invested in these bad boys.
I don't even know what we were using.
It was the internal microphone on the GoPro and on our phones.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so then we quickly bought these like lav mics. And I remember this is like a constant struggle where we bought cheap lav mics.
They were terrible.
They were a disaster. Like they never ever worked. We would drive all the way out to a project and have no audio. And we were like, well, this is a waste. But like the good lav mics were like
$1,000.
Yeah, $1,000. Something insane.
I'm glad you guys invested in it. And audio is still hard. I know Chico, the videographer, and I, we sometimes have audio issues, and it's something that's just so small, but it's such a big deal.
Yep. Even the tape.
It's
everything
crazy.
about audio is a pain.
It's crazy, and you just take it for granted watching like traditional TV or whatever.
Maybe that's what they're spending all their money on.
It's crazy. It's
Audio.
crazy. So when we decided to start this podcast, we were like, oh, what mics do we get? And I was like, I see everybody, all the big YouTubers have these Shure mics, the big dogs, because they sound amazing.
So my son, he's into this game right now called Singing Monsters. Have you seen this thing? Mm-hmm. So it's like you earn points, whatever, you get these monsters. They all sing at different like levels and keys. So you basically are like a maestro, and you can like create this symphony of little monsters. And he's like, I want a YouTube channel because I'm going to make these songs and I want to put it on YouTube. And he goes, Mom, I need a mic. And so then I was like, well, what kind of mic do you want? You know, because we do have that extra one at my house. But he was like the ones that all of them have. He wants this. So we'll see. I don't know. I think it could have legs. So he's watching somebody else who's already done a video of this.
Oh, okay. He didn't just come up with this.
527,000 views
Of just them playing the monster game and making like...
Yeah, and making like, it's like very zen. It's like...
I would highly recommend he do that.
That's a great idea.
But I don't know. Do you want kids on YouTube? I don't know. I want to retire.
You could do faceless. You could do faceless kids. And,
there you go.
That's how you can do it.
I think it depends on the kid to let them have a YouTube channel or not. I think some kids are like smart, industrious, could handle that sort of thing. It could be a real asset to them. I think other kids probably not a great idea.
Yeah.
But I will say this, if you're a kid, like my kid also wants a YouTube channel.
Right.
And I'm
Every
like,
kid wants a YouTube channel.
And I'm like, well, what would you do on your YouTube channel? And he's like, oh, gaming. I would do gaming on my
Pretty
YouTube
hard to break
channel.
into gaming.
It's so hard. And my advice to him was like, you need a niche. You need
singing monsters.
Singing monsters or like whatever sub thing that you're into as a kid, start there. So like if it's, I don't know, even if it's singing monsters or it's soccer or it's some niche game that you're into or whatever, start there, get that traction, and then I think you can grow from there.
Totally. So, yeah, it's all about riches are in the niches.
Yeah. And what I encourage my kid to make a YouTube channel because I want him to see the amount of work that goes into creating content. Because good content. Yeah. Yeah, because like he and I have made we made it like a little promotional video to raise money for the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. So we just made this little skit, and it's like a lot of work. We just filmed it on my phone or whatever. But
are you having Chico come to your house?
I probably should. I probably should have really invested. No, but he was like, "Oh, let's make a video. Get your phone out." I was like, "No. We got to write out an outline. We need to script it. Like, what are we going to say? What's the plot? What are the scenes? You know, what's our shot list?" He was blown away, right? And then I did most of the work, but he at least, he helped, and he was like in for the ride and got to see that. So I don't know. I'm supportive of people,
Okay.
but it's the family business, I guess. So.
We'll definitely be plugging Jackson Jams on this channel when it becomes live.
What were we talking about?
Sorry. Okay. So I think to backtrack on the channel itself, we did end up initially, our focus was consistent uploads. And I would say within the past 6 months, we've been able to do that, consistently upload. But it's been a real challenge for us because of the nature of what we do. Construction, there's always issues. There's permit issues. There's contractor issues. There's just a lot of variables at play to even finish the projects, and then let alone the episodes about it. You've got to get footage from, these projects can take anywhere from 3 to 4 months up to a year.
Yeah. We also had a hard time with sponsorships of the videos for that reason, because most people sponsoring on YouTube, they can just kind of like call in the order and get it fulfilled that same week.
Right.
So I need an ad on your YouTube video in the next 3 weeks. And for us, it was like, maybe, but if the house is delayed and if we wanted to integrate it naturally, like the best ads were like kind of woven into the story, but that would have needed to have happened, 3 months ago or whatever.
Yep.
And because these projects take months and months.
Totally.
So that was a struggle.
So initially we broke up the projects and we would say like, whatever, Cat House Part 1, and quickly realized that ain't nobody want to watch that.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
You want the payout at the end. You're waiting for that transformation. That's what the people are here for.
Totally.
We got to give them what they want all in one shot, which means we are going to upload less frequently.
Right.
And less often, but we're betting that those videos will do better than if we had been doing multi-part series.
So we actually tried that. So we were like, we'll turn one house into 3 or 4 episodes, and we put it out there, and it was like crickets. Like nobody watched, because and it makes sense. It's like you clicked on a video. I don't want to watch you buy a house and say it's like, oh, it needs a lot of work, and then peace, see you in 3 months or a month when episode 2 comes out, or a week even. It was like, what's the payoff there, right? And so we took those episodes that we filmed where we had broken it up, and we combined them all into an actual like full before and after. We took down the old episodes where it was broken up and re-released it.
Yep.
And it worked.
Yeah. And I would say that was kind of maybe our first turning point as a channel.
Yeah.
I know we were kind of in this, like, we were self-funding this. We invested in a full-time person. We were, really kind of like not sure it was going to work. It was an experiment.
Totally.
And that was kind of the first indication that, like, okay, maybe we're onto something here. It wasn't like bananas views, but it was much more than we were getting.
Yeah. And you got to keep in mind too, what was our goal with this was not to get like tons and tons of views. It was to get free product. And that's basically how we justified the investment in the channel, which is like, oh, we can hire somebody, videographer, editor, like we can spend a little bit of money on this, because if we get donated, like we were thinking maybe we get free flooring or something.
Yeah, it's 10 grand.
It's 10 grand.
Right.
So like we were thinking we could easily justify this as an expense, even with like low viewership, right?
And I think that would be, maybe I'm getting ahead of like what we would recommend to somebody, but I definitely think if you're thinking about starting a YouTube channel, you need to have a business that can benefit from it.
Totally.
Already, right?
Totally.
Either create that business from the channel or already have it ideally in place, because that's really where you're going to see it, the YouTube money, so to speak, is going to be a long time coming unless you just have this, viral monster singing channel,
right.
And so it's a grind, it's a day-to-day thing. But if you have a business that says like, let's say if I was an insurance agent, right? And you can sell 2 or 3 insurance policies off of a video, that more than pays for the video itself. So like if you have something that you can benefit from beyond just the channel itself, that would be my
only criticism of your son's would be Monster Channel is like what product actually ties into that? Is he going to go on tour and
maybe
have some shows with that?
Some downloads.
That's why you see, that's why this Ryan's Toy Review kid made so much money, because it was entertaining videos for kids that sold a product, sold toys. And like there was a craze here. We talked to a creator that made these slime videos, like people playing with slime, and you're like, why would you spend your time doing that? It's because they actually then sold slime. Hundreds of thousands of dollars of slime. So it's like you need a natural tie-in to some sort of product.
And it has to be authentic to what your content is. Like we tried merch.
We did.
I think my best friend and my mom bought it, and that was it. Like, we flopped because we're not like,
it has nothing to do with who we are.
Fashion design, and it was just Yeah.
And that is back to us going against this grain of like what the typical advice for people on YouTube was. It was like, make a bunch of content and then you can just monetize it through merch. Like you read that everywhere at the time.
Right.
And the biggest YouTubers were doing that. Like,
and if you're young and cool, maybe that works. We were neither.
To be honest, like we were pretty tepid about it. Like I think we maybe promoted on one video.
It wasn't
and
good
like,
merch either.
It was just,
Yeah,
it was
whatever.
bad merch. And nobody bought it, but it was like kind of an experiment to even see like, hey, are people
How much
into
influence
this?
do we have?
How much influence?
Not a lot.
But to your point, it's like that had nothing to do with the videos we're making. It didn't have anything to do with houses, real estate, investing. Like,
Yeah, versus much more successful with Homemade because we're selling a product of something we actually do. It
Yeah.
makes sense.
and it is something our audience wants.
Speaking of Homemade, should we insert our Homemade plug here?
This episode is brought to you by Homemade. What is Homemade?
Well, glad you asked. Homemade is a turnkey house flipping service we've built to solve the needs of aspiring flippers like you who want to get started in house flipping but want to do it with the backing of a professional and experienced team.
We've designed Homemade so that our team will be with you through every step of the house flipping journey.
Our team will deliver investment grade properties straight to your inbox,
Work with you to design your project to maximize ROI,
oversee all the renovations, and handle all permitting requirements.
and along the way, we'll hook you up with our vetted network of service providers to help finance, insure, and stage your property.
Once the project is wrapped, we'll be with you arm in arm to execute your exit plan, whether that's through a sale as a flip or holding the property in your personal portfolio as either a long or short-term rental.
At Homemade, we've taken the outdated and frustrating house flipping process and turned it into a seamless and rewarding experience so that novice and even seasoned flippers can have access to this investment class without having to delve too deep into the nitty-gritty everyday headaches that this business often entails.
At Homemade, we do the heavy lifting for you. So if you've always wanted to flip a house, head on over to homemade.co to learn more about our platform and apply to work with us.
That's homemade.co. Peace.
So let's talk about our Patsy video, because this was really the first one that we had filmed.
Patsy's the street name of this
Yeah,
project.
sorry.
A Patsy's like somebody that takes the fall for something, right?
Okay. Well, I don't know. This one was fun because it was a hoarder house video. It was very early on, but what was significant about this, we were like looking at our YouTube studio yesterday, which is like, it shows you all the analytics of all your videos. And so we were checking out the Mexico video. And then this one was super interesting because we released it on December 17th of, I don't even know what year, probably 2018. And we got 4 views, which is probably my mom, your mom.
Right.
You know,
I didn't even tell my mom because I was like, I don't really,
So
I'm a little embarrassed.
so I got us all those views. Okay.
Yeah.
4 views. And then the next day, like 10 views. And then all of a sudden, 3,400 views, like day 3.
No. It was longer than that.
Oh, it was?
Yes. It was like weeks. It was
Weeks
like
before-
maybe like a month after we released it.
Okay. So we're getting 1Z, 2Z views.
1Z, 2Z, 5Z views. It was just sort of like, oh, okay, maybe people are Googling Patsy Cline or something and getting the Patsy house. And then yes, it exploded one day relatively
Right.
and got, like 3,400 views in a day. We were like, what is this from?
Right. What is it from? Did we ever figure it out?
Well, I think what happened, this is my best guess. That was one of the videos that we advertised for people to just watch. And so it actually had a few views, but they were like paid views basically. Right. And what I think is that like Google thought it was just like an ad, you can put an ad video on there. And so it wasn't like distributing it to anybody. But then I think it realized eventually, oh, that's not just an ad. This is like content like any other content. That's my theory. I don't really know. I have no idea why it would out of nowhere
just the YouTube
take off.
YouTube angels out there. Algorithm angels. And in the meantime, we were starting to get some signs that we were getting some traction. We had Mary Ellen Cook.
Oh man.
She was like our #1 early super fan.
I bet she's watching right now. Shout out Mary Ellen Cook. Hey, our very first fan.
So she was very encouraging. She would leave paragraph-long comments on the videos.
She was kind of like a grandmotherly figure that
she was
like
local because
Yes.
she knew a lot about, the areas where the houses were. And like, so we knew we were kind of getting an audience.
She would comment on every video a very long and thoughtful comment.
Yes, she was awesome. She encouraged us to keep going.
I thought it might be your mom. I thought like
maybe it's her.
She had an alias.
Her alias. I don't know.
That was pretty cool and weird to see.
Yeah.
A person like watching, like you could tell because she commented on more than one video. Like you could tell she was following.
She was starting to go down the rabbit hole.
This wasn't just a random person that watched one video, right?
Totally. And I think too, like throughout the whole, you know, even less so to this day, but like we made a point and an emphasis to always focus on the houses because we felt like that was what people were coming for, was these transformations. That was the proven model on HGTV. And so, you know, you'll see a lot of creators that will throw their picture on the thumbnail. Nobody knows who we are, especially at that stage. Still don't, you know, but it's like the emphasis was always on come for the house. And then if you enjoy the house content and you like us, you'll probably stick around,
Right.
but you're not coming for us.
No.
Right. So it was like very much a point of our focus to like focus on the house and the transformations.
Yeah. And especially in those early thumbnails, definitely we didn't have our faces in it. It was just like a house with a split screen. It was like before and after. So it was like very clear. And we kept the titles super, and we to this day, we still keep our titles like very generic because the assumption is like you want a transformation story and you want to know 100% if I click this video, do I get to see a house transform?
Right. And still a lot of our views are from people who are not subscribers, who don't know who we are, that are get served up this video. So we want to make it as consumable and easy for them to click on as possible.
Exactly. It's not about us. It's about come for a house, stay if you can tolerate us or like us, which
Right. Or want to make comment terrible, horrible things.
that's half
That's
our
here for you
audience
too.
here is
Yeah.
people who have thoughts.
So, okay. So, and I think too, you know, we were starting to see and we were starting to gain an audience, but at the same time, like we're running multiple businesses. This is a full-time gig, making these episodes, making good content. I don't think people realize how much goes into it. And really we're questioning whether this was going to, yes, okay, maybe it can justify, maybe it can pay for itself, but can it reimburse all the time we're spending on it? And the answer at that time was absolutely not. So I would say like the next big turning point in the channel was that our 5K house.
No, I would say it was the sponsorships before that.
Okay.
The 5K house, we made a whole episode on it. I want to talk about it. But before that, we got sponsored.
That's true.
And we got sponsored, I think, by some like well, we thought Simply Safe would be an amazing sponsor at the time, and out of nowhere, they sponsored the 5K house. But before that, we got a few random sponsors, and one was for a video game.
Yeah.
And it was this like app. What was it called? Vineyard Valley.
Not Vineyard Vines.
That's a clothing brand.
That's what I'm wearing.
It was Vineyard Valley. It's this game called Vineyard Valley where it was like sort of loosely tied to house flip. It was like you're renovating an old
manor. They were renovating an old. It fits.
It was very tangential.
Didn't you renovate the house that?
Yeah,
you
in the
guys,
game, it was totally
in the
on
game.
brand.
You renovated a house, and
an
that's
old manor.
That's
you
how
buy
we
credits to like flip your kitchen and
Right.
whatever. We justified it.
It was tangential enough, but what was crazy is that we didn't necessarily we didn't think a video game was like the right tie-in. Like we wanted to do products for the house.
Right.
So we gave them an ad rate that was like double what we had been quoting everybody else.
Yeah.
And we were like, this will make them go away. And if it doesn't, it'll be worth it. And they said yes.
Video games. See how like singing monsters. There's money in video games.
Oh, I'm sure they're banking.
I'm sure there would be like some sponsor money.
I'm sure they're banking. These phone app video games crush. Like, and that's why you'll see them on even the biggest creators, like Mr. Beast will promote a random video game.
We'll still get offers from video game people.
Yeah, I mean, there's a market for that. I think it was just like, I don't play these games, so I'm like, what is this? But like, people play them and love them, and like, we played the game, and it was like, okay, yeah, it's good, it's fun. Now, like, I see the appeal,
He still plays every day.
I still play it every day.
How's your manor looking?
It's looking beautiful. I've invested so much time at this point.
Did you spend all that ad money?
But I remember for
in-game app purchases.
I remember for me, like that sponsorship being a bit of a turning point, even before the 5K house, because I was like, oh, this was real money, and
we're not getting product, but
but it more than covered the expense of that video, and I was like, that is a huge moment for us, right?
Right. Yep.
But then we did the 5K house.
Right. Which, so then, that was a Simply Safe video. They got a hell of a deal on that thing.
They got the best ad deal
5
ever.
5 million views.
Yeah. That video.
We did not charge a 5 million view rate.
No, we didn't. We tried to get it on subsequent videos, but that video we did. So if you want to know more about that video, we did a whole podcast episode about making that video, how it blew up. But I would say that was probably the moment at which we were like, oh, this definitely works, right?
And it was a huge gamble. I mean, basically justified buying the house for the channel.
Yeah.
Because we had seen on YouTube, there were people who had done that before. They would buy, I think there was one like the $13,000 house, but it was, again, these 50 episode multi-part things that are just not that watchable.
But they would have millions of views on you just put a super low price house in the title and people like would watch that. And in the 13K house, yeah, it was like him doing the electrical, like not super watchable. But yeah, to your point, we bought a whole house, only $5,000,
right?
But basically as an investment in the channel, right? And it was like, I don't think we can lose on this because like it's so cheap, you could turn around and sell the house. But still, I don't know. In hindsight, like that still was a big gamble, and like it definitely paid off. But it's still not even like the core of the normal kind of content we were making. You know?
No, but it's definitely served as like the Pied Piper video, I'd say, of getting people to the channel. Sorry, and from there they go down the rabbit hole of content.
Totally, and that's been basically our whole strategy. Is like we have a few flagship pieces of content, and then a long tail of like good content for you to binge on, I would say, right?
Yeah. They're all good. They're all good episodes.
They're all amazing banger episodes.
Right.
Everyone's a Pied Piper episode.
It's just whether people have discovered it or not.
That's right.
Okay, so let's talk about it hasn't all been sunshine and roses. We've had some flops, right? We mentioned the merch earlier.
Yeah.
We tried our hand at real estate house tours.
Yes. I thought we should do these like very high-end luxury property tours because we were trying to make more content and the before and afters just took so long. We could only produce them so often and we needed something that was like tangential in our niche. And there are people on YouTube that get millions of views on these like mega mansion tours. And
they seem like relatively low lift compared to months and months and months of showing up on set, filming house flips.
Exactly. And we also thought there's probably a business opportunity to tie in there, like for a brokerage.
Which we have now. Oh, maybe we should revisit.
Well, maybe we should. But at the time, we both had our real estate license. So we were, real estate agents technically, but like, I thought it would drive a lot of views or whatever, but it did not work.
And I think part of it too is because like these houses that you usually see on these channels are in metros like New York, LA, where houses are 15, 20, 30 million dollars. And in Austin, there's like 2 houses that are above 5 million.
So we found one house in Austin and one house in Houston. Out of, like you said, there were maybe like 5 listings.
Well, and house is a stretch.
Houses. The one we toured in Austin was a $10 million house. And because we knew like you needed for the title, it needed a big number, right? To get you to click. In the same way that a small number like 5,000 was very clickable, we thought, okay, big numbers are clickable too. But there's just only so many 10 million plus houses in Austin.
Right.
And we got one to say yes to letting us tour,
and it's a huge gamble. I mean, these agents that have these listings, like it's because there's so few of them, they're not really all that keen to just say like, yeah, these YouTubers come, tour my house. Like
that was the hardest thing, is getting those listings to just say yes to letting us tour. We called them all. We gave them the pitch.
Very close on this like ranch in New Mexico that looks cool, but
see, this is why I'm surprised you even like agreed to do this YouTube channel in the beginning, because it was basically the same reaction of like, what do you mean you're going to do a YouTube video about my listing? My client is very rich and private and doesn't want people to see their house.
And these agents, to get to that level where you're representing somebody that has a multi-million-dollar house, like you're not watching YouTube, you're watching HGTV.
Right. Which I think is foolish, because now there are people that like there's Ryan Serhard that does these type of properties. There's another guy, Innes or whatever. They get eyeballs, and it's like maybe the person that buys this doesn't see that, but maybe their kid does, or who knows? I mean, like this day and age, like maybe you did watch it on YouTube. Maybe you made your money on YouTube.
Yeah.
But like getting these agents to agree to it, it was just like too big of a risk for them. Like they could say yes, take a gamble, or they could have it.
And we didn't have a video to say, look,
this is what you'll get.
We've already gotten one and it's got 10 million views.
Right. We had to show them other people's videos. But basically, I would say like, look, these get views, and look, our house flip videos get views. And I think part of it.
Can we talk about the one in Houston though?
Yeah.
It was this house, and it's because it's so
it's not a house.
ridiculously large. It's been turned into like an event venue. Like
Right.
if you're a princess getting married, you want to like this is your castle.
It was a castle.
It was a castle
that had, I think, at one point been a private residence. That like, the dude got divorced and then owns a castle. You know, I wonder what went wrong there.
I think he was like a plastic surgeon or something.
Yeah,
which
right.
Totally vibes.
It totally had that energy. But then now it was like an event venue. It was just like they're doing weddings there. So, you know.
It was a stretch.
It was a stretch. It was an amazing.
I still follow them on Instagram. They're still doing weddings there.
Really?
Yeah,
Did it ever
venue.
sell?
I don't know.
Oh, well, we didn't help them out. But the tour, it was also it was just weird because it was not really, it was technically an $11 million listing, but like it wasn't fully furnished because it's an event venue. It was
the whole day was so weird.
It was very weird. And while we were filming this video, some random people walked in the house. Do you remember this?
Yeah. To use the bathroom.
They said they wanted to use the bathroom, but like they just trespassed onto the property, saw that we were in there filming, and they walked in. And like, hey, we wanted to see the house. Can we go to the bathroom? We're like, no, we don't own this house. We don't live here. You're trespassing. You need to leave. And they're like, well, how did y'all get in here? And we're like, oh, well,
we have like a camera.
We have a YouTube channel. We have permission to be here, people. That was one of the weirdest
I forgot
filming
about that.
experiences.
I kind of blocked that, to be honest.
Yeah, that was traumatizing a little. But
also traumatizing.
Yeah.
We had this idea, which I still think is a good idea. Just the execution of it wasn't great. Was like if we had a furniture line, and we could furnish the houses, and then you could watch the episode and be like, oh, I love that living room, I love that kitchen, whatever, and then add to cart.
Shop the house.
Yeah. Turns out it's really hard to ship a couch.
I still want to do this business. I think this is a winner. Because who doesn't want to shop? And I think now YouTube has a lot more like shoppable features, and like TikTok is adding like products. So I actually think maybe we should revisit this. Okay, but the problem with that is like, yes, shipping and the logistics. A whole other company. It was a whole other company. Yeah. And I think we could have done like a single product, like, oh, we only do this chair or this table, but that felt like too limiting. So I think you basically would need like a whole furniture line. Yep. Which is what we tried to partner to be able to fulfill the furniture line.
Some people just don't get the vision, you know?
A lot of people don't get the vision for what we're trying to do here.
Which is okay. But I will say, I mean, I don't think a lot of people got the vision of the channel originally.
I think they still don't.
Yeah.
I think if you watch us on YouTube, you get what the channel is, what we're about, and like maybe you're into it. But if you don't, and we try to explain the concept of what we do, it is like people's eyes glaze over completely. Like, what are you talking about? Right. It makes no sense to people. Yeah. But that's okay. That's why it's a niche. That's why nobody else is doing it, right?
Totally. Okay, so let's talk about what we would do, or best advice, I guess, if you want to start a channel. What should my son do with his singing monsters business?
Well, that's a great question. I think what we said earlier is like you need a niche. So you need to combine two things. You're doing it on YouTube. That's one of your things. It needs to be something that is not every other kid in the world is doing. Right. If you're a kid, if you're an adult, it should tie in naturally to a business or product. Or if you don't have one already, like there should be a very natural path to being able to like monetize in some way, because you won't be able to monetize on YouTube to the point where it like is the sustaining funding source in and of itself. It just won't be. Right.
Well, unless you hit some viral thing.
Yeah, maybe at the very upper ends where like the AdSense revenue that YouTube actually pays you for those and the sponsorships can pay for it, like great. But I think for the majority of people that can realistically make a living on YouTube, it needs to tie into some product. And there's a lot of great niches out there.
And I think too, your content needs to be really good, and you need to be able to tell a story that people can follow.
Yep. And I think your format needs to be something that you can repeat over and over and over again. So like, I mean, I think there's the YouTubers that are like Mr. Beast that are coming up with a novel concept every time. Even he kind of repeats themes, but like the production effort that goes into a single video is massive. And I think that is absolutely not the norm for people on YouTube. Like a house tour, for example, something you can repeat over and over.
Right.
Assuming,
think about like House Hunters, same formula every single time.
and what we do is basically the same thing over and over. We don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. So I think having something that you can repeat while adding a twist and nuance every time to keep it fresh, keep it interesting, I think that's key, right?
Yeah. I think Amber Alert. I think to me, I see huge opportunities on YouTube is taking this concept of popular television formats and redoing them for YouTube audience.
Yeah.
To me, that's like so like no brainer, right?
Totally.
Like,
yeah, totally. One of my favorite creators right now, that they had other YouTube channels, but they created a channel called Jet Lag, the game. Did I show you this?
Yes, I saw some of that. It was really good.
So it's these kids, basically, they're 20 somethings, but they basically took the Amazing Race format from TV and put it on YouTube. So they're like doing these elaborate games where they play a giant game of tag across Europe or New Zealand or whatever. They come up with the format. There's all these intricate rules. And then they're like filming it themselves on their phones or GoPros or whatever. It's so entertaining. And it's like, yeah, this is a format that works, right?
Right.
What are some other traditional media formats that work?
Oh, I'd say like Biggest Loser. I mean, if I'm like an endocrinologist, weight loss doctor, selling Wegovy, whatever, like I am for sure going to do a little, I'm your doctor. I come check up on you. I've got this celebrity trainer who wants to be having a presence online.
Yeah.
Boom. There's your TV show. Who wouldn't watch that?
That's a fabulous idea. I think replicating sort of the news format, there's a lot of like smaller channels that have like a niche. There, like I've watched creators that are just news about basically like Tesla. Like the company Tesla, and they'll put out a video every single week, and it's like the latest updates on what's going on with Tesla.
Right.
Like what a niche.
I think we should, for our next finished house, we should do like a Big Brother. Should lock 20 strangers in there.
It goes straight from
everywhere.
from HGTV to Big Brother, and like we flip it,
exactly.
and then you have to stay in
And
it.
then you have to stay in it.
One of the creative writers I worked with in the past, she would look into like minute to win it games, fear factors, things like that. And for me, like it was really interesting to see, as you mentioned, like going through and looking at old pieces of content that has been in the universe and just kind of reinvent that wheel, but also make it yourself, make it fit your style. I think a big part of YouTube is trying to copy and paste someone else.
Yeah.
And I think what YouTube is really needing in the space is that authenticity of, you know, I don't want to see another Mr. Beast replica. There's 20 of
already
them,
have,
probably 100 now.
And you're not topping Beast.
No, I think
You're not going to out Beast him.
I think another clever one of these like combining two things is, you know, if you're going to do an interview or like podcast format, and maybe we need a niche within our niche. But you know, I really like Hot Ones on YouTube, where basically it's like podcast interview and they're eating hot wings, like hot chicken wings that get progressively hotter every time. I'm not saying we do this.
It's already being done.
It's an amazing niche because like it's the interview format that's like, there's a zillion of them, and it adds an element of interest. It's like
celebrities in cars getting coffee or whatever that is.
Exactly.
Comedians in cars getting coffee.
Yeah, exactly.
I would have thought of that.
That's a great format. Or James Gordon used to do carpool karaoke. You're just like combining two things that it just holds your attention that much better. Where you're like, oh, I really want to hear what this whoever celebrity has to say in this interview format. But then like also they're crying because it's so hot on their face. I think we were talking earlier about Jeff Wittick. He has Jeff's barbershop where he's like cutting their hair at the same time he's interviewing. Great way to like add a little bit of interest.
What could be our thing? Real estate related.
I don't know.
It couldn't be construction though.
I was saying we could be like painting a wall or something.
It needs to be more niche. Maybe it's just in a hot air balloon. You know, we do all our podcast interviews in a hot air balloon and skydive out at the end. No, there's no bad ideas in a brainstorm, Lauren. We're just brainstorming.
Okay, well, I think we've been brainstorming for almost an hour now. So let's hit some of our Insta questions, shall we?
Totally. We got a lot of questions about the YouTube channel on Instagram, and we're going to deliver answers right now.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. What's the average ETA of your flips and turnaround on your videos?
No.
So flips themselves, like I mentioned earlier, quickest flip, 3 months? 4
No, we
months?
did one in 2 weeks that was like super minimal.
Yeah,
Right.
but
Yeah.
average 3 to 4 months. Longest flip
A year
plus.
Yeah. I would say that this question is like, how much does a car cost? You know, it's like, well,
Yeah, it depends on the level of reno, right? Lazy, we took it all the way down to the studs. We added an addition. We had to go through a permitting process.
And
that one's taking a lot longer versus others that are purely cosmetic. Yes, you can be in and out in a month or so from the construction standpoint.
but that's one of the things that I think that we've learned flipping and that we're taking into homemade is like we are reducing our buy box of the types of houses that we'll do so that that window is much more consistent. So like we're trying to be in and out of these things in 3 to 4 months consistently and just avoid taking on projects that are a bigger, heavier lift so that it's more like an assembly line and less like a custom one-off project every time.
Yeah, and same with the videos. So we are checking into the projects as they go. We're collecting that footage. We're editing it in real time to where once the house is done, we can get the final tour, final questions, anything else that we're kind of lacking from the episode, and be able to turn those out, I'd say, within, a month of completion.
Yeah.
But the episodes themselves take about a month to edit. It's tons of footage to come through. It's a 30-minute TV show.
Yeah, exactly.
And
people don't realize that those B-roll shots of just the house are like a time lapse of workers. Like that's a ton of work to get a 2-second clip because you got to drive out to the project. You got to set up the GoPro. Then you've got to edit that down. Like
put it
tons
on the
of
server.
work.
Yeah.
A ton of work goes into that.
Okay. How did we get into the renovation business? Kind of addressed this on the last episode.
Yeah, a little by accident. Like I started out in commercial real estate and then I just wanted to try flipping on my own. And then you bought a house to like flip and live in yourself,
Yeah,
right?
it was like a 1960s ranch from the original owner. So it hadn't been touched. It had a drive-through window in the kitchen, teal carpet, the whole deal, which is what I wanted because I hate when somebody has come in and updated it to their taste, like in the 90s, and then it would be like, ugh.
Yeah. So, and then we had obviously known each other for like 20 years. We were kind of doing the same thing. And we said, time to team up, baby.
Time to go on YouTube.
Time to put this show on YouTube.
All right. Do you edit your videos yourself or do you hire someone?
We hire someone.
Yeah, we got a whole team. We got 3 great people working on the media alone. We got our producer, Massiel, our editor, Emily, and our video guy, Chico. And the quality, I mean, I got to brag. These people make HGTV.
They put in the work.
They put them to shame. Yes.
Yeah. And one of the things I'm most proud of is like our video production quality has gotten better and better and better. And as we invested more in it and the talent and the team, like, I don't know. I love where our production quality is now. It's like a TV show.
Yeah, it basically is. Actually, yeah, I ran into some neighbors of mine the other day, and they were like, "You didn't tell us you have a TV show." I'm like, "Oh, did you find it?" She's like, "Yeah, I was on YouTube," and I was like, "Is that Lauren? That's not Lauren. That's Lauren." Yeah. And then her husband was like, "How are you doing?" Like, he was just like, "The production quality is so good. How are you doing this?" And I'm like, "We got a whole team. They make it happen."
It takes a village.
But that is also something too, like, know when to not do it yourself. Like apparently you're a badass drone photographer, but
of course
there's also, you're good at other things as well. And so it's this time balance of where to spend your time. And I think it's made all the difference in the world to us to hire professionals in this realm.
And to be clear, we also spend a ton of time working on the production of this.
We're involved.
We are involved heavily. Yeah.
Okay. What is the most views you've gotten in a single day? So we had to go digging for this. We don't just know our stat. We don't have the stats tattooed.
Yeah. What is it? I'm curious what the answer here is.
Is 132,000 views, May 23rd, 2021. Which episode do you think?
A good day. I know this because it was not the 5K house. The 5K house was a gateway. This was the $1 million house.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very good. Ding, ding, ding.
Our number 2 video. Yeah.
We kind of addressed this. What made you want to start the YouTube channel?
Yeah.
Pure vanity.
Pure vanity. A need to be, heard. And, no, it's like, it's like, I think you got to have deep down narcissism to want to do this, right? You gotta be a little bit vain.
I still, every time we have to watch a video to preview it, I hate it.
It's hard to watch yourself.
It so much. I think I want to go into podcasting.
I've gotten much more used to watching myself on camera. It was so hard for me to watch our very first video. I was like, oh, this is so cringy.
Yeah. Okay. How much work goes on behind the scenes? We've done that quite a bit. What app do you use when designing your houses?
Well, yeah, so we'll do now for the videos like a 3D model. We do that in SketchUp, and then we use a rendering software called ShapeSpark to like do the fancy tours that like zooms through the house. But yeah, good old SketchUp.
Yeah, cool. Okay, well, I think we hit on everything you wanted to talk about.
That's everything.
Starting a video, starting a channel.
Ever wanted to say about what it's like to start, run, build a YouTube channel.
Yeah. So I feel like now we've gotten in like all the background we've gotten through in these first couple episodes, and I'm excited to hit the ground running in our next episode. We're going to be talking about some more timely topics.
We're going to get into it. Thank you guys for watching, for subscribing, for listening and watching on YouTube, the Austin Flipsters podcast. We're going to see you guys in the next one.
Peace.
Peace.